If you're a man that's on his self-development journey, I promise you at some point in this process, if you're trying to build your social confidence, trying to level up your dating life, you're trying to optimize your physique, your mindset, your lifestyle, your career, your finances, I promise you on the path of building those things, I can 100% guarantee there will be multiple instances where you hit low points in that journey. It is never this upward linear progression. And I want to share with you guys some insight that I recently gave a client of mine. I have this text conversation open. We could throw a screenshot up on it, but I have a one-on-one client inside of my coaching program, and he messaged me this voice message. It's a 2-minute message, but the summary of it is essentially he was saying, like, how do you deal with the lows? Because although he is making progress, right? He's only about 4 weeks into my program, and he's made a massive transformation in terms of his social confidence, getting out there, approaching more women, starting to have some success with his conversations, and starting to land dates. And throughout that process, there was still low points and negative mindsets and days where he's just not in the mood and not feeling it. And even almost an entire week at one point that led to him possibly even giving up had I not have given him the advice that I want to share with you guys in this video. So this is literally value that I want to share in this, that I'm giving to my one-on-one clients. And I'll also even show you later on in the text convo how it bounced back and literally led to success with him, which confirms everything I'm talking about in this video, right? So first I want to just read out what I said to him. I'm going to explain it and make it applicable to you guys, and then I'll even show you what happened afterwards that led to actual success. So this is not just for social confidence and dating, but what I've learned, because I'm somebody who's built a 7-figure business, my company has had multiple months where it has done 200K in a month. And on top of that, I'd say over the last 20 years, I've been working on my physique and my dieting and optimizing my health, my biomarkers, my testosterone levels, my sleep, my content, my relationship, my confidence. Like, I've worked on so many of these different areas of my life, and I keep seeing these trends in all of them. It's not just like in one field, it's in all of these. That's why I think this video is so powerful for a lot of you guys. So I want to share with you the holistic, more like well-rounded approach of how to fix this, because it's not just one thing. There's been a lot of different things I've struggled with over the years. So I want to give you more of a comprehensive list and what worked for him and what can work for you guys. So the very first thing I told him, I said, hey man, look, it's a couple of things that I want to give you a checklist to run through. But I said, number one, make sure your body's optimized, because without this, there will be a lot more negatives, right? Now, the first thing I said is I'd actually recommend getting a full panel blood work review to make sure everything is fully optimized within your body and your biomarkers. Mine wasn't, now it is, and there's a huge difference, which is completely true. Like, there was times in my early 30s where I actually felt really depressed at one point. I felt like I had low testosterone. It turns out I had other symptoms, like I had low thyroid and high homocysteine levels. And as I progress, I'm coming up on 36 years old now at this point, guys. Like, I've had periods where my testosterone was a little bit lower, and then it was a little bit more optimized. And then also just my sleep. And those things can make a huge difference. Now, I'm not gonna turn this whole thing into a testosterone optimization video, but there's a lot of things when it comes to hormone replacement therapy that can really help some of you guys. That is not the only thing here. It's not just if you have high tests, you're gonna get, awesome results. That's not what this is about, but it is one thing worth noting. I also said, aside from that, the other essentials, health, diet, being fully rested, working out hard on a daily basis, like at least 3, 4, 5 times a week, full sobriety. Without these things, you will absolutely feel down, less motivated, questioning life, questioning your goals. Right? Now, there's a lot of other things I also want to talk about in this, but let me just stop right there for a second, because if you're somebody who's smoking weed on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, you're getting drunk on a weekly basis, your sleep is not 7 to 8 hours, like deep sleep on a daily basis, you're not doing those things, you're not doing a morning meditation and some sort of reflection, you're not tracking your progression and your daily habits, if you're not doing those things, I guarantee there's gonna be a lot more lows and negatives. You're not gonna watch a YouTube video and go say some gimmicky pickup line to some girl and it's gonna cure these things. These are like foundational pieces of your life. Even me, if I have bad sleep and my diet is shit, even if my business does 200K for the month, even if like some awesome shit happen in my day-to-day life, if I'm not well rested and I'm not putting the right foods into my body and I'm putting the wrong substances in my body and the wrong content consumption into my body, it's always going to lead to a negative mindset. It's always gonna lead down this bad path. Some of you guys it's porn, some of you guys it's weed, some of you guys it's the food, it's the sleep, it's the content consumption of the wrong things, right? Like I've had the wrong consumption of content has massively affected my mood and my outlook and my perception on women, on dating, on relationships, which ultimately got me to a place where I couldn't even be happy at one point, right? And that has nothing to do, that is just content consumption and drug consumption and food consumption. So I can't skip over these parts because so many times guys think that getting laid or landing the hot date is going to fix these deeper problems, and it's not, right? Like it's all of these things. You need to take an actual holistic approach. So it starts with, if you're a guy who's really feeling down or something, you gotta go full sober. You gotta get your health and your diet on point while you're doing these other things, by the way. It's not just that, but you do that. If you're already doing that and things still feel off, go get your blood work done. Like actually sit down, spend a couple $100, sit down with a doctor, let them review all the different biomarkers, upload your document of your blood panel to ChatGPT, let it assess it, and it'll spit back exactly what's missing. I've been getting my blood work done very consistently lately because I'm really trying to optimize it. I've spent literally thousands of dollars over the last year constantly getting these full panel reviews, but it's really given me a lot of insight into where what is not fully optimized. Right now, let's move on from that, because let's say you do have these things dialed, and now, I mean, just doing that, you're gonna feel so much better. I promise you, you're gonna feel so much better. But now let's talk about more on the action side of things. If you're trying to build your social confidence, some of you guys, it's more about putting out content. Some of you guys, maybe it's more about the amount of money you're making. It could be your dating life, right? It could even be a fat loss journey. But what I'll say is, well, let me just read the next part of this message. I said, once all of those things are dialed, understand, even then, there's gonna be ups and downs naturally. Any one bad day or even any one bad week doesn't mean shit. It's to be expected. It's to be expected. I promise you there will be bad days. I actually woke up today not in a really good mood, and I didn't even understand why. I got full sleep, had a great night, like woke up next to my girl, spent a little bit of time with her, just like, you know, sharing the morning for a couple minutes, and then went right into my morning routine, and I didn't feel that good this morning. It's okay. It's not a big deal, right? So any one bad day, even a bad week, is to be expected, right? Track your daily and weekly goals, as well as your daily and weekly actions, to ensure that you're still moving forward. And then I also told him, and you need to use this program, meaning the one-on-one coaching on a weekly basis, the in-field coaching on a weekly basis, the community aspect, and coming to the coaching calls, to ensure that you have the accountability and you're taking the necessary actions needed to succeed. Okay, now that point is massive too, because some of you guys are hyper fixated on the self-development side of just making sure that the diet's on point and that your sleep's on point, and you do your journal and your yoga and your meditation and your daily reflection and your verbal affirmation, and you do your morning walk and your work, like you do all of those things, but you're not actually getting the action done because you're lacking structure and accountability and tracking on the actions that are gonna lead to growth when it comes to your social competence in your dating or your business or whatever it is. Like, I could go have an insane morning routine, but if I don't actually go out and approach women for the day, I'm not gonna actually build social confidence. If I don't actually turn on the camera and record the content, the business won't grow, right? So there's certain actions that you can't skip over. Those are the biggest actions. Now, first part of this was optimizing the internal, your mind, your body, sobriety, all of that stuff, your health. The second half that I'm getting into is action and accountability and tracking, because I have several clients that come in and they ask me these questions that are such big overview macro type questions where they're like, what if this, what if that, what if this? And all I'm thinking is like, dude, what are you doing today? Like, you're looking at these huge overview macro questions, but like, what are you actually doing today to move the needle? What have you done this week to move the needle? That's really what it comes down to make sure you're actually making progress. Because to tie that back into this whole question about what to do in the highs and lows, You're not gonna have lows if you're constantly, if your health is dialed and your wellness is dialed and your daily and weekly basis tracking and seeing a progression. Like that is what it's all about. That's how you get excited. That's how you see the progression. That's how you get more bought into the process. That's what's motivating. That's what makes you wanna go even harder. The guys that are at the lows where they feel helpless, they're lacking direction, they have no idea how to progress, or maybe they know what needs to get done, but they can't figure out how to actually implement it in their own life, right? That's when you feel helpless and confused and you don't understand what the fuck to do. And you start hating yourself because you're stagnant, or maybe you're even going backwards because the foundation could be shit, but then the other part of it is you don't have enough accountability in place and you're not taking the right actions and we're not tracking the stuff. So we're not actually seeing a progression on a daily and weekly basis to get bought into. So let me close out the message that I said to him, right? I said, there was no book that fixed these things for me. All right, let that sink into. There's no YouTube video that's gonna fix this. Even as valuable and accurate as this video is, it's not going to fix it. It could bring awareness, but it comes back down to the implementation, right? So I said there was no book that fixed these things for me. It was a matter of, number one, optimizing my health and my body, doing everything I mentioned earlier in this video. Number two, coaching and accountability to break through to the next level. I had to do that at every point in my journey. I have spent way more money than any client I've ever worked with on coaching, right? When I needed help with my social confidence and my dating life, I hired multiple coaches. Even when I had $1,500 to my name when I was 24 years old, and I emptied my bank account and went in debt to actually hire coaches. Like that's how it started. And every year after that, it seems like, now I'm 30, coming up on 36, I've always hired coaches, man. I've always hired coaches to have that accountability, to have somebody who's been through the thing that I'm going through, to look at it from a higher viewpoint and see, I see where you're headed. I made that mistake already. I've seen dozens of my own clients make that mistake or start moving in that direction. Let me stop you right there to save you months and years. Instead, we're gonna do this, but let me just guarantee to make sure that we do that, I'm gonna book out these calls on these times and track these actions, and we'll coach you through that process to make sure that you get there. That's what always got me to the next level. It was having that financial investment, because without any skin in the game, you don't take action, you sit back watching. And then I had somebody that had gone through it already, monitoring me, booking out calls with me, holding my hand through it, giving me the support and giving me the right route and accountability I needed to break through. So number two is the coaching and accountability. And number three, mindset awareness of not getting too lost when things are going downward, right? Because if you start to downward spiral, if you don't understand this stuff, and I'm gonna show you how this guy actually bounced back in a second, but if you don't understand this stuff, this is what happens. You start going to a negative mindset, you turn back to the drug to feel better. You turn back to the weed, you turn back to the booze, you turn back to the validation of sex and lust, you turn back to the porn, you turn back to the binge eating, you turn back to whatever the thing is that made you feel okay momentarily to cope with the fact that you're not actually progressing. And then you stay stuck. That's what it is, right? So if you start turning to the vices in those moments, you go back into a downward spiral. If you don't have somebody in place monitoring you to get you back into the right headspace, like that's actually what I did for this guy. Like he was in this low, we had this talk, he came to a call, we booked out coaching calls for him, he took action that week. That's what got him back on track. If he didn't have this infrastructure in place, he goes into a negative spiral, his old thoughts come in, he starts turning to the bad habits he did initially, he beats himself up, and then he goes back down, right? He was on the way up, he hit a little bit of a low that's inevitably gonna happen. You either have coaching and accountability and fix the vices and stuff that you could be turning to prevent you from going back down. It will hold you there, you break through, you hit the next level, right? And that's like literally what happened with him. I want to read out what he actually said to me. But guys, if this is hitting for you and you want to work with me to build your social confidence, your dating life, and really become the most attractive version of yourself, you can work with me on this level. You can click the link down below and apply to actually work with me directly. He responded. Actually, he didn't respond initially. I bumped it up. I said, hey, dude, making sure you saw this. He said, yeah, man, really appreciate you taking the time to write all that. Actually helped me put some things into perspective. Turns out he already had gotten his blood work done recently and everything seemed to be good over there, right? He said, I might go back to get it redone because it wasn't the full blood panel. His diet's also pretty clean. He does admit he needs to get better with his sleep and tracking his goals, right? I think the last thing about not getting too lost when I'm in those emotional swings is extremely important too, because I do get lost a little too much in those moments. Grateful to have this support and for having you, and for you having my back. Let's go. I appreciate you. I also just pushed him to come to Sunday's call. And we booked out calls for him throughout the week to make sure he was getting out into the field, and we were coaching him through those infield sessions. Right, so that's part of what we do in the program. You have multiple sessions per week, one-on-one coaching calls where you're out in the field and we are walking you through level 1, level 2, level 3 of the social roadmap to make sure you're actually making progress 3+ times per week. Right, so it was that plus the coaching that got him back on track. And then if you see, I could fast forward. So that initial message was sent Monday, October 20th. Literally on the 22nd, this is only 2 days later. It just goes to show you how fast you could actually bounce back from a low when you have the right systems and accountability and mindset reframing in place. He said, just went on my first Insta date ever. Like literally, that means he went up and approached a girl, and that approach actually went all the way to a date right on the spot. He said, just went on my Insta date, first ever. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't even able to approach women and get into an interaction. So literally in 2 weeks' time, he went from not being able to approach at all or even get into an interaction to actually having a full-blown Insta date. And this is literally 2 days before this, he's sending me a minute 45 voice message questioning everything. And it just shows you, like, you've probably had one of these frustrating moments with women or with your social confidence when you feel stuck, you feel embarrassed, you feel like you're not gonna break through, you're questioning everything. Maybe you go back and you watch another video, maybe you just give up on the whole thing, or maybe you're just not taking enough action to begin with. You could either go that route or you could go this route that I'm showing you, where 2 days later you have a massive breakthrough to hit a whole nother level, right? So when it comes to dealing with the lows, guys, number one, make sure that your health, your body, your mind, your sleep, your diet, your addictions have been handled, right? And if you need to, you get your blood tested as well, just to confirm everything is in place. Even if you're feeling okay, you're not feeling that good, get that stuff taken, right? From there, it's the action and accountability and mindset to push through to the next level. I couldn't do it alone. I watched the content for 9 months straight. I didn't do shit. Literally nothing. At some point, my girl broke up with me and I saw her and her new man at the gym every day. And that shit bothered me so much to the point where once I was done crying, at some point I was like, I need to actually take action on this thing. That's when I hired a coach. That's when I had skin in the game. That's when I got the accountability and the push and the support needed to break through to the next level. So if nothing else from this video, guys, I would say anticipate at some point in the near future, there's going to be a low point. All right, you can't turn to the bad habits that you've created for yourself in the past. That's just gonna spiral you back down. It's a quick dopamine fix to cope with the pain, but it doesn't actually fix anything. It just makes you feel better. It's like putting a little Band-Aid on the thing, but it doesn't actually fix the foundation. So you can't turn to that stuff, and instead you need to have a game plan. You need structure, you need tracking. If you can't afford a coach, you write this stuff down in a journal, okay? Like write this stuff down in the morning. I track my stuff every morning, as well as having several different layers of accountability. But I track the stuff in the morning to make sure that I'm monitoring these things. Then it comes accountability and coaching. Someone that you're reporting to, someone that's measuring and making sure that structurally you're going into the next steps properly, right? And then the final thing is, don't beat yourself up. If it's a bad day, if it's a bad week, so what? As long as you don't give up, as long as you stay in it and keep going, you will inevitably have success. Now, I would suggest if you're not progressing fast enough, or you can't do it alone, because I couldn't do it alone, you could click the link down below, pick out a day and a time to have a free consultation call with us, all right? We'll sit down with you, we'll talk about your situation, where you're struggling, point out the things that need to be adjusted, and show you what it would look like to actually work with us directly to overcome those sticking points that are holding you back in your social life and your dating life. All right, link is down below. That's all for this video, fellas. Peace out.